From the 151st District, the hometown of Mike Morano, Representative Camillo, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Always good to see you, and always good to hear the name of Michael Morano in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, as I sit here and I listen to the debate from friends on both sides of the aisle, these are things that we've heard, good points, for days and weeks and months and, yes, even years. But I always, keep falling back to what the Constitution says, Article 1, Section 10, or Article 6, saying that any pact among the states to circumvent the Constitution is, in fact, unconstitutional. So are we wasting our time here today doing this if we're not talking about, in fact, amending the Constitution? Session's ending pretty soon, in less than 2 weeks, so it's a great debate to have. I just want to know what the end of this is, because if this is unconstitutional, lots of legal scholars around the country over the years have said it is, then I just think we're wasting our time. But a lot of proponents, Mr. Speaker, have emailed me and said that the same thing we've heard here today, that candidates around the country are ignoring Connecticut. It's really just a few battleground states that they go to now. And it got me thinking years ago, and I thought, well, if that's the case, then why not award electoral votes by the proportion of the votes that they get here in the state? So if a candidate gets 40% of the vote, you would give them 40% of the electoral votes. That would encourage any candidate running to come to every single state. That would solve that problem. And every time I've said that to people, mostly Democrats, but there's been a few Republicans, no one has disagreed with it. They may say, well, you can't do that because of A, B, and C, but they all say, well, it's an interesting idea. I think it answers the question and solves that problem of getting people to our state. Because let's face it, the Founding Fathers pretty much got it right when they got together a few centuries ago. And, the Connecticut Compromise with Roger Sherman spoke to, protecting smaller states. I think there's kind of the same idea with this Electoral College. Because remember, in 2016, as in every 4 years, if you really look at that electoral map around the country, it's pretty red. The majority of the country is red in those maps. But in 2016, one county in New York City and one county in Los Angeles did outvote the rest of the country. That the plurality, the 2 million votes was right there. So it does make you wonder, even though we are elected by the popular vote here, we are not the country. And certainly the Founding Fathers took into consideration that they did not want any region to be discounted or outvoted. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to give my thoughts on that and hope that, if we truly want people to come here, candidates to come here, and think that they're ignoring our states, which they are, and that's a very valid point, then maybe we ought to think about the way we award electoral votes rather than to just discard them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.